Go live. Why are we not doing that? Remove. Remove. Okay. Save changes. Did we really just do that? Hello, hello, hello. Oh, 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 oh. Woo, if something could go wrong, it would go wrong. But hello and welcome to Tea Talks with Tawawn. We are back on our Mondays. How you been? Haven't seen you in a while. Thank everybody who is going to join us today. And for those who will be watching this later, you know what's going on. You know what we believe. We believe everybody needs a little TLC. I'm not talking about no tender love and care. Yes, we do need that. But we also need some transformational lifestyle content that helps us with becoming our best selves and creating our best lives. And you know, here we be spilling the tea on all the personal development topics that can help you with that goal of becoming your best self and creating your best life. And I am excited about tonight because I have a guest who will be joining me tonight. So before I talk about my guest, we know what we need to do. If you don't know who I am, my name is Tawawn Lowe. I'm a transformational lifestyle coach and consultant. I work with individuals and organizations. I work with individuals helping them to fulfill their vision and to manifest it by setting goals, keeping them accountable, helping them get unstuck and get to the place they want to go. And with organizations, I'm helping them with maximizing their talent and to reach some of their goals. And if you're new to our channel, you never want to miss when we're spilling the tea because we're here every Monday at 8 p.m. And if you want to get the tea that we have, I need you to go ahead on this YouTube channel and I need you to subscribe. If you hit that little red button, guess what happens? A notification will come to you and it'll be like, guess what's getting ready to come on? The TLC channel. So yes, if you haven't done it already, do so. Now, again, if this is your first time, we have there's something you need to do. I need you to get comfortable. I need you to grab your pen, some paper, find a comfortable seat. If you got some tea, get your tea, sit back because we're going to be spilling a lot of tea, giving you some good gems and some things to talk about and some things that you can walk away and implement today. Yes, today. So if you don't know, May is mental health wellness month. And today I thought that we would give some attention around your mental wellness is important. We go to the doctor and we have physicals, we get a physical checkup, we get the mammograms, the colonoscopies, and all the other things. We set goals for the things we want to achieve for the year. We got financial goals, we got spiritual goals, we have personal development goals, but you should also have goals that set around your mental wellness. You should have a plan on how you will maintain and sustain your mental wellness. This weekend, I got to speak on a virtual summit called Heal Her. And one of the things I said that people needed for their mental wellness was they need to have some investment, some protection, intervention, and prevention. And we're going to talk about that today on as we're spilling the tea about your mental wellness being important. But today is not just going to be me as usual. I like to bring experts to the table to talk about these subjects. So I'm happy to say today that I'm not just bringing an expert that I met, a colleague, but somebody that I can call a friend who I've known probably, I'm just going to almost say all my life at this point. Her name is Karen Allen. She is the owner of Imani Consultancy. She is a licensed social worker, y'all. She got so many acronyms behind her name. She got, let me see what I wrote on this piece of paper. She got MSW, LICSW, LCWS.C. I don't even know what all those things are, but what I do know is she has been a good mentor to me. But I know that she's good in her field of social work, and she has now opened up her own consulting agency or company where she is giving therapy, helping people to heal. So she knows a lot about your mental wellness and why it's important. So I'm going to bring Karen to the stage with us. So y'all, come on, just do a little virtual clap. Let's welcome Karen to the stream. Hello, 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 my friend. How you be? How you doing?
Hello, hello, hello.
So this has been a long time coming, me getting her on here because, of course, she's busy because she's helping clients with their mental wellness. And just helping them with achieving goals in other areas of their life as well. So, Karen, before we really jump into the topic, I'm going to ask you to tell people, for you to tell people a little bit about you and what you do.
Okay, so I'm over here messing with my computer while I should be very much focused on you. But I
I know
want
what you was doing. Did you
let,
get it done?
let me see if I can get myself right. Um,
Get yourself right, girl.
who am I? I'm a child of God. I am such a blessed child of God. And because I am a child of God, I believe that my purpose on life in life is to bring folks to their ultimate healing. What does that mean? We all are broken in some way, shape, or form. But God did not mean for us to stay broken because He gives you the answer. And the answer may not be where you think it is. And so
Mm-hmm.
many of us try to find where it is in the wrong places. But I'm not going to go there right now.
Oh, that's good. Look. You jumping you jumping already.
And so, what I am going to say is that Tawawn Low is what I tell everybody, that person who makes you want to strive to be a better human being.
Oh,
And
thank
so
you.
I so appreciate her and love her to her core. And on top of everything, she can cook. And clearly, I'm a foodie, so that helps. And what she does do is, even if you try to cook something, she gonna make it mo better. And that's what she did. And I had brought some things from with my Caribbean flair on it. And years ago, when she was writing books, starting out with cookbooks, I would look and lo and behold, my Escovitch fish was in her cookbook.
And it is one of my favorite dishes, boo.
And she's still making it to this day. She's still
Yes,
making it
yes,
today.
yes.
So I just love Tawan. I am a let me tell you who I am first. I am proudest of being a um a black social worker. One who takes a lot of time to pay attention to the needs of my people. I work with all kinds of people now, but my foundation is grounded in African centered work. So I am the co-chair of the African Centered Social Work Academy for the National Association of Black Social Workers. And actually, we just had a recruitment seminar today. 20 people were on the line today. 20 people were on the line last week. So we're looking at a class of probably around 30, 40 social workers to just bring them up. So my real love is professional development. So I mentor many students. Many of my students are now my best friends. So where do I get these students from? I'm also a professor at Howard University. I have also taught at Coppin State University. And I really don't like to talk about myself. So Tawan knows that, and so she has been hounding me for, I would say, years. And I say, I don't do screen, I don't do video, I don't do TV, but only Tawan will get me here. And this is good because I don't even see you people. So it's just like me and Tawan having a conversation.
Yes, and Felicia Press says, shout out to the NABSW, the
Woo woo!
National, what is that? The National what?
Association of Black
A Black
Social
social
Workers.
work. And
Absolutely.
Felicia does have a degree. She just got a master's or something in social work. So yeah,
Oh,
she
good,
shot you out. Look right, and she just
good.
got her doctorate. Yes, so
Okay.
and Dr. Gail says hello, ladies. So yeah, so we have some
Hi,
people
Dr.
on here.
Gail. How are you?
And
Good.
and Dr. Gail said, Karen, you should be in front of folks because you have a lot to offer. And she really does. And that's oh, Felicia has her doctorate in doctorate of social work. Okay. So
Absolutely.
yes,
Ooh,
so yes,
girl, I
so
need to
we have
meet
some
her.
folks.
I
Go
need to
ahead.
meet her.
Yes. So, and Gail is correct. You do have a lot to offer. One of the things I loved about what you just said, that you are, your purpose is really to bring greater healing to everybody. So bringing greater healing, tell us what greater healing actually really means. And I put a post up today and I was like, when people, I say it's a dangerous thing when people want to heal, but they don't want to look at their part they play in their suffering.
Mm,
Because in healing, you don't, as always, sometimes we look at just being a victim, but healing really means, to me, and you can expand upon it, real healing to me means taking the band-aid off and looking at the whole sore, and like getting down past the nasty part, the pussy, and also you got to look at how you got the sore.
absolutely.
So tell us,
Absolutely.
as a therapist,
Sure.
what
Sure.
what does healing mean?
So it does actually mean that we have to reach back, right?
Mhm.
There's this African term. It's called Sankofa,
Sankofa,
right?
I know what that is.
We reach back into our past
Mhm.
to find our greatness for our
Mhm.
future, right? And
Right.
to build on it moving forward. So the Sankofa bird, when you see that, you know that a person has some insight into the value of their history. It could be good, it could be bad, it could be some other words, right?
Hmm.
But
And
it's
they're
our history, right?
right.
And we have to learn how to own it, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Now, one of the things you said that was powerful was peeling off that scab, right?
Mhm.
Because so what we have done in our trudging through life,
Mhm.
right, is to create ways to manage our pain,
Mhm. Mhm.
to manage our pain, right?
Mhm.
So let's say we had a mother who was an alcoholic, right?
Mhm.
Well, one of the things we might have learned is that that's how you take care of your pain. You drink, right?
Right. Mhm.
But then you find out it don't work so good for you because you you drinking too much.
Mhm.
You drinking at the wrong time,
Mhm.
but you're drinking
That's true. Mhm.
and you're not dealing with your pain. So when you come in for therapy or you've come in for treatment, what happens is we start to, what we call in the business, peel back the onion.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you know, when you get to the middle of the onion, what do you find? Usually the good part is on
Mhm.
the inside, right?
Mhm. If you're a cook, you know that. Yes.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And so we all, and it's painful though. Sometimes it's really painful, right? Because sometimes the outside is nasty because it's been in your cupboard too long, or
Mhm.
so you peeling
Mhm.
off the nasty, stinky stuff.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
sometimes when you get to that inside, the core,
Mhm.
you realize that that was pure innocence. And at that core is where your truth lies,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? And so we always have to, and that's a painful process. It takes time to do that work with clients,
Mhm.
particularly when they've had trauma.
Yeah.
But if they are in for it, you got to be ready for it. And I tell all my clients, let me tell you one thing for certain, two things for sure. This gonna hurt.
Mhm.
This is gonna hurt probably worse than somebody actually cutting you.
And it
With
might
some of
hurt.
them,
Mhm.
yeah,
It might even hurt more than the trauma or the drama,
yeah,
actually, because it's something that you constantly have to keep revisiting in order to actually effectively deal with it. And I like what you said is healing is about getting to the core and getting back to the innocence of where you were and the innocence of you in a place of because once you get to that core, and pull all those things back, truly that's where the healing is right there, because
That's where the healing begins.
that's where it begins. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. And if you've never been in therapy, for some, that would even be harder. But I want to talk about, we talked about healing, but I want to talk about mental wellness, because I think sometimes people don't understand what mental wellness is and how important it is. And mental wellness is no different than our physical wellness. But for me, how I defined it, and I would like for you to define it if you define it any differently. But mental wellness is taking care of your emotional and your mental, and I include spiritual state, because it has a major impact on your because all that impacts your psychological well-being, and it also has a physiological impact if you don't take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I see mental wellness to be. And I feel like mental wellness needs to be just as important as your physical wellness, because your mental wellness dictates how you make decisions, how you show up in the world, what you believe about your self-worth. It dictates it plays a bigger picture in who you become, more than people realize. But yet we skirt around mental wellness. So for you, how do you define mental wellness?
So I don't separate
Hmm.
the mind, body, spirit connection. I believe it's an interconnected body that we encompass, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not right, your body ain't right, your
Your spirit.
spirit ain't right,
Hmm.
and your mind is not right,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I always encourage my clients, we don't just stick to the psychological components which ails you.
Hmm.
What are you eating, right? what
Hmm.
what are you drinking?
Hmm.
What kind of relationships are you forming with your environment, your
Hmm.
universe? Like, how do you show up
Hmm.
physically, mentally? My clients, when they did come in, right? They walk in the door, I could tell what kind of day they're having just by the way they're dressed.
Hmm.
Because how you showed up in the universe is what you're going to
Yeah.
portray, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I tell my students all the time, you look at back in the day before you came for this degree, you look at a homeless person, you say they need to just go get a job. That's what they need. The reality of that is the job is probably the least important thing that they need,
Hmm.
because clearly there might be something wrong with their mind.
Hmm.
Clearly there probably something wrong with their body,
Hmm.
and their spirit is broke.
Hmm.
So, how do we define mental wellness? Getting in touch with those three aspects of your being.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that's really good. That um like you, I don't separate mind, body, and spirit either. I know there's definitely an interconnection. And generally, when I'm having a bad day, it messes up everything.
Mhm.
Now, physically, I might be okay, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually, I might not be okay. And it depends. Physically, I might not be okay even because I'm more tired
Mhm.
and drained when everything is just not in balance. And I know sometimes people say you can't have all of it. You can't have a balance, but I believe you can. And that's why I think mental wellness is important, because when you take care of your mental wellness, it helps you have a better chance of some type of balance across the line. And there's going to be days when everything is off, but you definitely have to, um, kind of just check in with yourself. I think that's it. I think that's what it is. Check in with yourself. So, can you tell us a couple of ways we can check in with ourselves to make sure we're taking care of our mental state?
Sure, sure. You hit on a really big one. Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel? Well, I can't ask questions.
Yes, you
How do
can.
you,
Yes, you can.
how do you feel when you haven't gotten enough sleep? Like me today, I did not get enough sleep.
Mhm.
You're not centered.
Yeah.
Your mind is all over the place,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So sleep is so critically important. I ask every client on intake, how's your sleep? Because
Mhm.
therein may lie the biggest problem,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But if it's not the biggest, then um, how is your relationship? How are the relationships in your circle, right?
Mm.
You have someone or some people that you can talk to when your spirits are low, right? Because clearly, no man is an island.
Yeah.
No man is an island. And so many of us, you would be shocked to know how many of us are lonely beings in this world. And I
Yeah.
see plenty of them show up to my door.
And, and we have to say, being in a pandemic for over two and a
Has
half
not helped.
years, that did not help those individuals who already were feeling isolated, alone, and not with someone. And then when you talk about putting somebody, secluding them for real, and not having that human connection, that makes it even worse. And believe it or not, suicide was at a high rate during this pandemic. And a lot of people, I've talked to different people, and it was like, well, people just couldn't handle. No, you're right. A lot of people could not handle the isolation, because it's one thing to isolate yourself, it's another thing for a circumstance to isolate you, and you have no choice.
No
And
control.
when you don't know how to handle that, that does play with your mental and causes some issues. And unfortunately, oh Lord, and unfortunately leads to suicide for many. And if they didn't have, and that's why I say there is there's importance to your mental wellness, and you have to have some type of plan in place. Like you said, do you really have people that you can reach out to and feel vulnerable enough to talk to them without any judgment? Because sometimes people are really afraid to be that vulnerable and say to somebody, Tawawn, I'm lonely, you know, because they're too scared of what's going to happen. So you mentioned two things. You said sleep, and then having somebody else to talk to, a friend or somebody that you can trust. Is there any other things? I believe being hydrated. I know that sounds crazy, but drinking and hydrating yourself, because your body needs that. I think when you deplete yourself of the things that you need to function, that also works on your mental capacity.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
anything else that, I mean, so we said sleep, we said having people you can trust and confide in, okay, having water. What else?
You
Journaling.
absolutely. Well, journaling is great. That is definitely a therapeutic tool that I use with all my clients. But also, being able to, with journaling comes this whole concept of meditation.
Mhm.
Okay. So when you meditate, what does that mean? And so some of my Christian folk on the phone might on the line might say, "Oh, that's something from the devil. We don't meditate." Do you pray? Because
Yeah.
prayer is meditation at its best, right?
Mhm.
As I walked out the hospital of my mom's hospital yesterday, I said, "Ooh, a church, a little temple in the hospital.
Mhm.
Let me get a minute just to meditate."
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Prayer touches the inner annals of our souls where no one else can go, right? And although some of us, because of some of the traumas we may have sustained, may have a very difficult relationship with religion, with God, and at some point you have to work on that aspect of your being. But the reality of it is, we all need somebody. Even the people who are atheists, they need somebody, right? So definitely meditation.
Mhm.
The other thing that I consider really important is connection,
Mhm.
right? Connection with something, somebody, right?
Mhm.
Getting in touch with your um, yourself, and then being able to connect with someone else is really, really important.
So now let me.
Exercise. I'm sorry.
No, no, go ahead. Finish. Mhm.
No, I wanted to also say exercise, having some form of exercise as a part of your daily routine, weekly routine. Even I wear this little watch, and if I sit down for more than an hour, it start making a whole bunch of noise. So I get up and I walk around my office.
Mhm.
So just keeping it, right here in the front of your brain, and taking time to take care of you,
Mhm.
as small as it may seem. And this is small for me, but it's a big deal, right? Because if I sit on my tush for the whole day without moving, which is pretty easy,
Mhm.
that's not good. That's
Yeah.
not good, right?
I want to go back to something you said. You said connectivity and connection. Is that different from having someone to talk to, or is it one and the same, or is it very different? Because are you saying connect in a different level? Because I do know having someone to talk to could really be like going to a therapist.
I wouldn't necessarily call that connectedness. I mean, you can connect with your therapist, but just keep in mind, as I do this work, I have to always um, remind people that this is temporary, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be, I could be your best girlfriend. I could really be your best girlfriend, but I can't at the same time. I'm
Right.
not. And
Right.
my intention is not to be your best girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
It's for you to create an environment where you can find a best girlfriend on your
Mm-hmm.
own and connect,
Mm,
because
okay.
you have similar likes and dislikes.
Mm-hmm.
And or it could be someone of the opposite sex, but you need to connect. We are human beings, and one of the problems with this whole pandemic situation is that we could not connect with the people
Mm-hmm.
that we were used to connecting with. Our colleagues at work, we could
Yeah.
not connect with them,
Mm-hmm.
and as much as they may get on our nerves, we miss them, and we want to see them, and there's value to that for the human nature,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
um so that's what I meant by connection. It could be a myriad of things. But with a human, even with a pet, oh my gosh, everybody got a pet. All my friends, I mean, all my colleagues, everybody got a pet during the pandemic. So and they have very serious relationships with those
Mm-hmm.
pets.
Well, and if anybody don't know, I am a pet owner. I have a four-legged baby, a cat, Tabby, and I love my baby dearly. And I tell people that while she could not talk, it still was a sense of some connection. It was something to touch. I mean, if she just rubbed up against me or she come one lay in my lap, it gave me something that I was just missing and was not getting. It was a level of connection. I like that. I want to come back to the connection piece. We're going to go to a commercial right quick because I want to thank my sponsor, Tea Lovers Cafe. If you don't know Tea Lovers Cafe, they sell premium loose leaf tea that is delightful to your palate. Karen can tell you she is a tea lover.
Mhm.
She like Tea Lovers Cafe. So we're gonna go to a commercial and then we'll be right back. As soon as I find the Okay, we are back. Bernie James said yes, good tea. Um, the Gail said like a child. Oh, she must be saying I treat Tabby like a child. Whatever, Gail. This is some good stuff, ladies. But I want to come back to that connectivity piece because I think that's important. And it's funny because Dr. Gail Crowder, who's on here, she started something called Evening Tea with Gail, because we couldn't get together anymore. It was just like we could not hang out, celebrate anybody's birthday. And so she started doing the evening tea as a way for us to stay connected and just get on here and just chat and talk about all the stuff that we would normally talk about. And I think we take for granted how important relationships that we have the relationships that we have, how important they are, and how they do play a major role in our mental wellness. I mean, when you are connected to someone that you can trust, you definitely can give them things that's bothering you. And they should be able to be that person that you can connect with and talk to and have that um, good type of enriched conversation or honest conversation, to help take things off of your mind. So I do believe connectivity is key. I think it is really key. So I want to ask you a question. Sometimes people confuse mental wellness with mental illness, and they're not the same. Mental wellness is taking care of your mental well-being, and mental illness, if I understand it correctly, is when you have gotten a diagnosis of some of a mental illness diagnosis. Now I know you can explain that a little further. I'm very familiar with the DSM-4. I think it's a new version, DSM-4-R or something like that. But what's the difference between mental wellness and mental illness?
Sure. So just for clarification, it's the newest DSM is the DSM-5 TR, which just came out in the past maybe month or two. So we're moving along.
Look, and I'm gonna have to get my job. They gave me my last one, so I'm gonna have to get them to give me another one
Get
because
to wait for them to get it. I think it's out now,
okay,
but it's the DSM-5 has been out for some time, and
okay,
they just came out with the TR. So I'm looking to see. But the DSM-5 TR is the diagnosis statistical manual, which we use in our field to find the criteria to specifically um, give someone a diagnosis,
yes,
right?
right,
So if you come in and you say you're depressed, because lots of y'all come in and say you're depressed, I have to figure out what kind of depression you have. Do you have major depression? Do you have a low grade depression that we call dysthymia? Do you have depressive disorder? Do you have bipolar, which sometimes includes depression, right?
mm-hmm.
So the cyclothymia is another one, which is like you have it all the time, different ups and downs and rounds and rounds. So there are lots of diagnoses out here that fall under mental illness, right? So that means you have a diagnosable illness. Mental wellness is moving towards uh, living your best self, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I wanted to say before we had to go to a commercial break was I don't want us to forget about connecting with self, connecting
Yes,
with self, right? That's the
mm-hmm.
greatest connection. So
Mm-hmm.
for my people, some of us have stuff that we won't let go for forever, ever, ever,
Mm-hmm.
never,
I know.
because somebody done did something to us a long time ago, and they shouldn't have done it. And I agree. They took your childhood, they took your manhood, they took your womanhood,
They
they
took
took
your innocence. Mm-hmm.
your
Mm-hmm.
innocence, everything, right?
Everything. Mm-hmm.
And I understand the why you may not have good feelings toward them. But at some point in this work, we work on forgiving. And why? Because if you can't forgive, you can't move past, right? Forgiving doesn't mean that you forget, because you will never, ever, ever, probably ever forget.
Mm-hmm.
But the action of forgiving takes a lot of work. That's a lot of the clinical work that gets done.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, um, you can then begin to well, first of all, you have to forgive yourself,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
have to forgive yourself for the pain that you have carried for so long,
Mm-hmm.
warranted or unwarranted. And it's never really easy to do that, right? I have a lot of people that I don't have nothing to forgive myself for. It wasn't me, right? It was that person who did that thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to help them to stop externalizing that that person has this stuff. We're going to deal with this stuff. But we have to take ownership for our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And with forgiving yourself, you learn to love yourself for how you are and
Mm-hmm.
who you have become
Mm-hmm.
and who you aspire to become,
Yeah.
because all of that is important,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I know that anybody who's on this line knows that we all need a little TLC, right?
We do. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we need TLC um in ways that honor our spirit. And so I encourage you all to just create a mantra for yourself to love, to say you love yourself every day, just for the heck of it. Just get up for the, I love me some Mary J. Blige. Talk about good morning, gorgeous. Because we need to love on ourselves.
Yeah.
Much of the pain that we have inside shows up once again outside because we have not dealt with everything that we need to deal with. And it takes time. It takes time.
Yeah. I definitely would agree. When you start talking about your mental wellness and what do you do to maintain it and develop it, maintain and sustain it, because you have to develop it, um, maintain it and sustain it. Forgiveness is definitely one of them. Self forgiveness and forgiveness is powerful in this, and I don't think people understand the power of forgiveness and what that does. And we always think about forgiveness as what it does for the other person. I'm not really worried about releasing nobody else. I'm worried about releasing myself, because that's what takes care of my mental. Because truthfully, I don't think some people even get this connection. When you don't take care of your mental well-being, it can slide over into mental illness. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
when it goes on, when it's not taken care of and maintained and sustained in a healthy manner. Self-compassion, I think this is another thing that we need to add when we're talking about our mental wellness. Give yourself some compassion. Give yourself some grace. A lot of times we just do not give ourselves the little bit of things, the things that we extend to others we never extend to ourselves. And I think that's really the craziest part in the world. The first person you have to take care of is self. So if I'm willing to forgive Kern, then I should be willing to forgive Tawawn. If I'm willing to extend grace to Kern, then I should be willing to extend some grace to Tawawn as well. So I do believe those two things add, self-compassion, self-forgiveness are very, very good. But I think this is very big and key for me. I know this is something that is very important to me. I have to mind my mind, because there's a lot of thoughts that go on in this head, from things said to me to childhood, to something somebody said to me last week, things that I keep repeating to myself. You got to watch your self talk and what's going on, what you say to yourself, and what you allow people to say to you. I think when we opened up, I think before I brought you on, Karen, I talked about with your mental health and taking care of it. You need to, I said, invest, protect, intervention, and prevention. And intervention and prevention. When I talk about minding your mind, well, that's part of that protection, intervention, and prevention. Um, and matter of fact, investment as well. The things I read and what I'm putting in my mind. She said, "Say that again." Q said, "Say that again." I have to mind my mind. Yeah, you really got to mind your mind, because if you don't, your mind will take you to places. It could take you to that dark place where you will wind up getting a diagnosis out of that DSM-5 TR, because your mind is a we don't I don't think most people realize how powerful your mind is. Your mind can tell you that you're ugly and you're the most beautiful person in the world, and you'll believe what your mind say to you, because for some odd reason you just want to believe that something in you is going to believe it. So you really have to pay attention to what you let into your ear gates, your eye gates, um, and you have to, what I say, become the gardener and go in your mind and start cleaning up some things, pulling up the weeds, putting down some new dirt. You know, you have to take care of your mind. Matter of fact, I might do a whole podcast on minding your mind and how do you take care of your mind. But I think that's a big part of your mental wellness, taking care of your mind, because our mind dictates just about everything. It dictates everything. How you feel, what you think, and
And say,
getting to know.
shake the devil off.
Yeah,
Shake the devil off
yeah,
because it's
but
real.
because it's real. But I think mine also go back to something that you said, self. When you are self aware, you pay attention to your mind. You know what your mind thinks. When you know what your mind tells you, can recognize some of those triggers when certain things come about, because you now know yourself. You've taken some time to pay attention to you. A lot of people ask me, "What did you do in this pandemic?" I spent a lot of time. I ain't had no choice, so I spent a lot of time with me. I started going back over some of the things that caused me some ish in my life, and I was looking at them to see, was I really over them, or did I compartmentalize them to just keep moving forward, because we do a lot of that as well. We do a lot of compartmentalizing and
Absolutely.
sticking things in certain spaces. So I think this has been a very good and enriching conversation. If you had to lead the people with some words in reference to their mental wellness, what would you say?
I would say, I want you to celebrate you.
Mm,
I want you to celebrate you every day of your life.
mhm,
We as a people, generally, this goes across all racial and ethnic boundaries.
mhm,
Unless you had a very special mother and father that always gave you positive praise and gave you all that you needed to be confident, most likely you don't have enough of it.
mhm,
I'm not saying any of it. You may not have enough of it. So celebrate your accomplishments because you have many.
mhm,
I have people that are speaking of negative self-talk, that is their that is the main thing that they do. They speak poorly of themselves. I have this lady who's a teacher doing great things with the students. She's a coach, and she walks in the room, my virtual room. Oh, I'm so stupid. I'm so dumb. I'm
mm, mm,
like, so she is of a different persuasion. And I say, you know what? You are not coming in here with that foolishness every time. We are going to honor, because I know, right?
mhm,
She's a Caucasian woman working in a 95% black school.
mhm,
So that says a whole lot about the gifts that you bring,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So could you tell me something good about what you accomplished today? That to take a breath
Mm-hmm.
and think about it. Yeah, I worked with this parent and she's getting her son to do. Okay, thank you very much. Let's not focus on the negatives. Let's
Mm-hmm.
try really hard to teach other people how to treat you by loving you and exuding confidence. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's practice.
It's practice.
Practice makes permanent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Practice makes permanent. So we need to start celebrating ourselves, understanding what our fears are, making sense of the sadness that we feel, as Tawawn said, minding your mind
Mm-hmm.
and not allowing yourself to fall down the slippery slope of depression,
Mm-hmm.
because it is very easy to
Mm-hmm.
fall down that path. So in Mental Health Awareness Month, I would just say be aware of your mental. Be aware. And if you need help, seek it out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us out here. If you live in this area, there's a lot of us out here. Let's just say that.
Yeah. I like that. Just mind, just mind your mental. It seems, it sounds really simplistic when you say it. However, for a lot of people, it is very hard. I know when I work with some of my clients and I start asking them certain questions like, what makes you happy? What makes you sad? What makes you cry? What are your triggers? What is this? And when I don't get answers and they looking like a deer with their head caught in the headlights, I'm like, okay, so if you can't answer these basic questions, I already know you can't take care of your mental. I already know that because that's a part of taking care of your mental. Because see, and I'm just going to share a little bit with me for those who don't know. Never been able to have children biologically, so you couldn't invite me to every baby shower. It would be times I could not even walk in the store and walk down the baby aisle. I had to know what my triggers were. I mean, I could see a mother standing at the bus stop with a baby in a truck and just cry. Different things just triggered me, and I had to get a grip on that. I had to come to some level of resolve of where I was and where God placed me. Why this was chosen. My purpose was not to be a biological mother to anybody. But when I tell you understanding my triggers, so I got to the point that when I went in certain stores, I knew which way to go and never to go down the aisle. Now I could see people with children, and that might not trigger me. But what I could never do is walk past that aisle and see the onesies and the little outfits and all the things I can't buy, and all those type of things. And it took me about, I'm not even gonna lie, about 5 to 6 years to deal with that, because my desire to be a parent, a biological mother, was still there. It did not go anywhere. I did not get any resolve with that. And then once I got a resolve to that, it became easier. Now, I'm not going to say I still didn't have some triggers, but I'm so much better. You can invite me to a baby shower now, and baby, I'm coming. I got my gift. I'm not going to leave early. I'm not going to be in the bathroom crying. I have gotten past all of that. But when I tell you, when I would have those triggers and do that thing, it would put me in such a sad state, and I'm going to say maybe situational depression. You know what I'm saying? Because eventually I could shake it, but sometimes it would linger and linger and linger. And I think the last episode that I had, it was so bad. One of my girlfriends was so upset because I did not come to her baby shower. I just couldn't do it. I just was not there. So I went to her house and I had a conversation with her later. You talking about the connectivity and why that's important. I had a conversation, and when I shared with her, and she was like, "Wow, T, I didn't know." And she was like, "Hell, you needed an egg. I would have gave you one." whole nother conversation, right? But you know, I had to let her know because I felt bad about letting down a friend who really I was close to and connected to, but I did not let her into that piece of my life because that's still what some hurt was, and because I had not dealt with it all the way. So it's important that you know what your triggers are. You know what makes you happy, what makes you sad. You know these things because it does shape who you are, and it dictates the decisions and the choices that you make. And being your best self and creating your best life cannot be dictated by pain unless you're getting your purpose out of that pain. But you still got to deal with the pain and even walk in your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So
That is so
um,
true. The awareness piece is critical,
it,
right? And I believe that once we're aware, then we hold a certain level of responsibility to deal with what it is that we are facing, right? But
yeah.
sometimes people see it, know it, and avoid, continue to avoid and deny, and that doesn't help. It
Well,
doesn't help.
that goes back, Karen, to what you said earlier. Though peeling back the layers is painful. It is not easy when you start saying that you want to heal yourself from whatever trauma, drama. And can I be very very clear? Because me and somebody had this discussion debate earlier, and I was like, I ain't even going to debate you. I said what I said. People who have heartache and pain is not always behind big trauma and big drama. Okay. It doesn't always have to be something horrific that happens. It just had to be something that happened that hurt you deeply and to almost to your core for you to need to take care of your mental wellness and probably even address some other issues, as you said, some of the levels of depression that you can have and things like that. So people always think that, okay, your mental is about when you done had all this major drama and your major trauma. You don't have to have major trauma to have your mental shit shaken. Trust me. I'm not minimizing this, but to not be able to have a baby is not that it's traumatizing, but that is not like my whole life was over. I wasn't violated, and it's, some of all these other different
I
horrible
beg to I
things.
beg to differ, dear.
Oh,
It's
okay,
how you handled it.
that's true. That's
that's
true.
the crux of it, right?
That's true. That's
Because
true.
I
That
know
is true.
people who have
Yes.
infertility issues,
Yes.
and it has consumed their
Hmm.
life to the point where they're sitting at home, rolled up in a bed,
Hmm.
and not wanting to live a
Yes.
normal life. But
And,
you
and,
decided, you made
yes.
a decision to do
Yes.
something different.
Yes. Yeah. And you are absolutely correct. And let me be very clear. At some point in time, it was kind of a little bit debilitating. It was mind consuming. Let me say this. It consumed me why I could not and why God would not give me the desire of my heart, which is funny because He did give me the desire of my heart. He did not give it to me in the manner in which I desired it.
Absolutely.
So, because I have two children and I got five beautiful grandkids. So, uh, I got to be a parent. It was just, and y'all, I would have to say that I got to be a parent because of this one right here, this one right here. My friend, Miss Karen Allen. For those who don't know me, don't know this about me, I was a foster parent for over 15 plus years. The first, the first child that came in my house, or maybe the second child I think
Second, second.
came to my house. This lady begged me and begged me for almost 30 days to take this child in my house. I took him. He loved him. The only boy I ever had, Lord Darren, loved him dearly, but Darren was and he looked like he could be my son. If I showed you a picture today, he looked like he could actually have been my child. So Karen, I want to thank you. I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been a very good conversation. I think a very well needed conversation because a lot of times we don't like to talk about mental wellness, nor do we want to talk about mental illness. But this is something that is prevalent in every culture, but very prevalent in our culture. We believe in our culture, we don't believe in going to therapy. We believe everything that going on in this house, stay in that house. That's a lie from the pit of hell. And if you're somebody, if you go back, tell your mama, your grandmama, Tawawn said on Tea Talk when I was spilling the tea, that's a lie from the pit of hell. What goes on in this house need to come out this house so we can get healed, so we can move past it, so we can show up in the world as our best selves and create our best lives. It's no way that could possibly happen when you're holding on to hurt, trauma, drama, or things that is draining you from living your full life. Vernie says, yes, thank you so much. You welcome, Vernie. Please call me
You
Vernie. Um, look, I just need Vernie to call me. Please call me Vernie. But this has been a good conversation. I'm going to be talking about this next week too. We're going to talk about really putting a plan together and what does that look like. I appreciate you being with me. Tell people again how they can get in contact with you. I'm going to say this not because she's my friend, but because she is my friend, but I know the level of integrity that she has. I know what type of work ethic she has, and I know her heart for people. If you are looking for a very good therapist, she would be excellent. Now, I am going to say that if you ever worked with me, you welcome this. Q said this was a great conversation. Gail said thanks, ladies. I will say this: if you ever worked with me, with your goals and aspirations and things like this, she kind of is like me, but on the flip side, just on that side with the therapy. So if you think I'm, you know, a pit bull, but we get results, and that's the case. Chat and True Ministry said, awesome broadcast. Well, thank you, Chat and True Ministry. I don't know who that is, but thank you so much for joining us. Karen, again, tell people how they can find you.
Sure, sure. My website is www imaniconsulting.com. And my phone number is 301-741-7934. And I have a private practice based in Bowie, but right now I live in Bowie, so I'm still in Bowie. But we offer full service mental health treatment. I have a few other therapists that work with me, but the need is great, and so I stay busy. But I thank you so much, Tawawn, for inviting me to your tea talk, and I definitely look forward to joining you in future endeavors.
Oh yeah, we have some. We definitely have some things that are coming up. That we're trying to plan. So I just want to say, everybody, stay tuned. I want to thank everybody for joining us on this evening. If you're watching this as a repost, I mean, if you're coming back and just watching this, I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you were able to glean and take some notes, and you can get something out of this. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to the channel Tawawn Low on YouTube. We will be back on Facebook Live come next week. Again, I thank you. This is, what we believe. Everybody needs a little TLC. You know what I'm talking about, that transformational lifestyle content that helps you with becoming your best self and creating your best life. Remember, your mental wellness is important. Mind your mind. Take care of your mental wellness. Until next time, we will see you on next Monday. See y'all next Monday. Don't go.
With my talk.